In section 8.2, we're going to be solved by using the quadratic formula. We have our form. It's an ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Once we get it in that format, we name our a, b, and c, and we plug it into this formula to solve it. So in our first example, the first thing we want to do is x squared. We want to move 8x over to the other side, to subtract 8x, and we're going to add 15 so that we get this equal to 0. So we're going to move everything to the left, shift it. Now we can name our a is a 1, which is right here. There's a known 1. Our b is going to be negative 8. Make sure you keep the sign with it. And our c is going to be 15. So b is negative 8 and c is 15. You have to be very careful that you keep the signs straight. Now we're going to plug it into our formula. X equals negative. Now I'll do b. Plus or minus the square root. It's easy if you put parentheses every time you substitute in for one of the variables. That way you have less chance of error. So you have 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. Okay, now we're going to use order of operations to simplify this. So you're going to get x equals 8 plus or minus. Now this part is called your discriminant. It has a special name. Negative 8 squared is 64. And now this is the part I'm going to put in my calculator. Negative 4 times 1 times 15. And that's going to give me negative 60 over 2. So then I get x equals 8 plus or minus. 64 minus 60 is going to be square root of 4, which is 2. The square root of 4 is 2, divided by 2. Now I have, I can rewrite these as x equals 8 plus 2 divided by 2, and then the other one is x equals 8 minus 2 divided by 2. So x equals 10 divided by 2, which is 5. And on this one, x equals 6 divided by 2, which simplifies to x equals 3. Okay, my next example, first we're going to put it in our format. We're going to move everything to the left, so I'm going to subtract x. I'm going to subtract 4 and move it over and set this equal to 0. Now I'm going to name my a is 1, my b is negative 1, and my c is negative 4. So now I'm going to plug that into my formula, so x equals negative, put parentheses, that way it's just less chance to make a mistake. Then I have b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. Okay, so now we're just going to simplify. Negative 1 means you're going to change your signs. You get a positive 1 plus or minus. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. Now, in my calculator, just so I don't make mistakes, I say negative 4 times 1 times negative 4 is a positive 16 divided by 2. As x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 17 divided by 2. When I break this apart, I'm going to get 1 plus the square root of 17 over 2, and I'm going to get 1 minus the square root of 17 over 2, and those don't simplify any further, so that's our solutions for this problem. Okay, our last example, we're going to move everything over. We're going to get 12x squared. We're going to subtract 5x and move it to the other side, and we're going to subtract 2, so that now we have it all set equal to 0. And we're ready to name our a is 12, b is negative 5, and c is negative 2. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, then all of that divided by 2a. Okay, so here we go. Now we're simplifying, so that just simplifies to 5. Alright, square root of negative 5 squared is 25. And then in my calculator, I put negative 4 times 12 times negative 2, and I get plus 96 over 24. I'm still continuing to simplify. x equals plus or minus. This becomes the square root of 121. Keep going, you get 5 plus or minus the square root of 121 is 11 over 24. So now I'm going to break this off. So I'll get x equals 5 plus 11 over 24. And then I'm going to have x equals 5 minus 11 over 24. And I'm simplifying. 5 plus 11 is 16 over 24. Dividing 8 out of both of those. Simplify by 8, and we're going to get 2/3. X equals 2/3. That's one solution. 5 minus 11 is negative 6 over 24. I'm going to divide by 6 and simplify this to get x equals negative 1/4. Okay, so solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula, you just have to get it in this format, move everything to the left and have it set equal to 0. Name your A, name your B, name your C, careful to keep your signs in front, and then you plug them into this formula using order of operations.